The time may come when your web hosting company is no longer meeting your needs and you want to move your WordPress website to another server. Most hosting companies will help you with this step, but if you want to tackle this yourself, it's a fairly straightforward process. I'm Laura from solopreneurmentor.com. I have 15 years experience building a successful business from home called D3 Website Solutions. In this video tutorial, I will show you how to make a backup copy of your WordPress website, how to install WordPress on the new server using Control Panel or CPanel, how to upload a backup copy to the new server, and how to point your domain name to the new server. Sounds complicated, but I know you can do it. Let's tackle your technology trouble together. This tutorial is intended for beginners. You can do it, I promise. For this tutorial, you will need to be familiar with how to install a plugin. If you are unsure how to do that, please see the link below this video. You will also need access to your domain registrar, which may be the same as your hosting company or it may be different. You will need to sign up for hosting at a new company. I highly recommend InMotion Hosting. I did a lot of research before bringing my hosting business to them, and they have done a great job upholding their promises to me. Click on the link below to learn more about InMotion Hosting. Alternatively, I host WordPress websites on my virtual private server through InMotion Hosting, and I'm happy to discuss how my managed WordPress hosting packages may benefit your business. Learn more about my managed WordPress hosting as well as the difference between a VPS and shared hosting using the link below this video. Finally, you will need access to CPanel on your current server and on your new server. Before you move a WordPress website from one server to another server, the first thing you need to do is create a backup, which you will then use to upload to the other server. It's actually fairly easy to do. There are multiple ways to create a backup. My favorite is Updraft. I found that it works well in all different environments. There is a plugin out there called Duplicator, which I've used as well, but I've found that it doesn't perform as well on shared hosting servers because I don't have enough resources to get the backup done correctly. So Updraft is a really good one to do. If you go under plugins, you can install the plugin called Updraft. I have already installed it. So under settings, I'm going to go to Updraft plus backups. And they have a premium as well as a free version. The free version will be completely fine for this. So the thing you're going to want to do is click on Backup Now. You could do Clone Migrate, but Backup Now is just as easy, and you can customize the settings a little bit more if you do some of the things manually. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on Backup Now. I'm going to include the database, include all the files in the backup, and send this backup to remote storage. Actually is not necessary, so I'm going to uncheck that one and click on Backup Now. So the backup is actually going to take some time to load and to run. So we're actually now going to move over to the new server, and we're going to actually create the WordPress install on the new server. Okay, I'm in the Control Panel account. Not all control panels look the same, but you should get a good feel for how to use Control Panel. So what I do is I just type in software at the top here, and I get a quick link to site software, which I'm going to click on. You might have a direct link to WordPress in there, so you could also type in WordPress depending on what hosting environment you're in. But the bottom line is you're trying to get to the way to quickly install WordPress. And for my Control Panel setup, that is site software. And then you're going to go to WordPress and scroll down. You're going to set an admin user and a password. And I'm going to pause the video while I set my password. Now it's going to default to wanting to install it in the WordPress directory. Go ahead and delete that out because it's the main website. We don't want to do that. The blog name, blog description doesn't matter here because we're going to be rewriting, we're going to write over the database when we copy in the backup. So this doesn't matter, don't worry about it. But the biggest thing is we do want to create the database. So create new database, and then we're going to click install. Now we're going to go back to the old website, or the old server and get the backup that we started creating earlier. So we were under current status, but now I'm under existing backups, and you can see I've got some existing backups here. Now make sure you get the one that was the latest, the one you just did, and you're going to click on all of these to download all of them. Once these are downloaded, fully loaded here, you'll be able to download that, and I will show you that in a minute. Once the orange bar has gone all the way across, you'll get the option to download to your computer or delete from your web server. Go ahead and click on download to your computer, and it will create a download for you on your computer in your wherever downloads folder it goes to. You want to make sure you keep track of where it is because you're going to need it when you upload it to the new server. My backups have downloaded to my computer, and I put them in a location where I can see them pretty easily. But what I like to do too then is just to go through and make sure that the backup was complete. So I'll unzip them and just kind of see what each of these things contain. So for example, I'll look just to make sure all the plugins are located in the backup as we're on the website. And you can do that quickly by going to the plugins directory and go to install plugins and just quickly run down the list and make sure all of those plugins are here. Names pretty much go along with the plugins, so you can pretty much determine if all of them are there just by looking at them and matching them up. Then I also like to look at the uploads just to make sure that there's a significant amount of images in each of these. The reason being that if there is an image in there, chances are pretty good that all of them got in there. You can certainly go through and be more thorough with this, but you probably just don't need to. And then I also like to look at the others category because I'm always a little bit not quite sure what others category really contains. And so here I can see there's some log files and some other things here. And I will deal with that after I've gotten everything else that's pretty standard. So really the standard files we're really concerned about is the one that ends in DB, which is for database, then the plugins, the themes, and the uploads. So what we're going to do next is we're actually going to go to the new server and go to Control Panel and upload these backup files. So you could do this through FTP, but most people don't have an FTP program and it's not easy necessarily to connect via FTP. So I'm going to do it through File Manager. So if you go, it should be at the top, but if you're not seeing it, you can type in the word file and find File Manager. We'll open up a new window. Then you're going to navigate to public_HTML, WP-content, and then what we're going to end up doing is we're going to end up uploading the upload folder here. There is none here because it's a brand new install of WordPress. There are no uploads that currently exist. If there were, what you would want to do is override the uploads directory that was already there with the one that you're going to create from the backup. So the easiest thing would just be to go ahead and click on it and then click on delete, and it will override that. And in fact, I'm going to do that for the plugins and for the themes. I'm just going to go ahead and delete them, and I'm going to skip the trash and permanently delete these files. So I'm going to upload the files that so I want plugins, and I want themes, and I want uploads. So I've selected all three. You can certainly do them one at a time, but I'm just going to drop those in there, and it's going to go ahead and upload those for me. Now I'm going to go back to Control Panel, and I'm going to go to PHP My Admin, and this is where the database resides. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on PHP My Admin while those other files upload. We're going to go to the database name, and you can see it's a full database for WordPress. We're actually going to delete the entire, not the database itself, but all the tables in the database by clicking on Check All and then going to Drop. will ask you, do you really want to do this? And you say yes. Now we're going to keep the database selected here, and we're going to go to SQL. We're going to go to import. We're going to choose the file from the computer. So that was the database file, .gz, and then everything else remains the same, and we're going to click go. Nice part about doing this is you already have your database set up. It was already set up for you, so you don't have to worry about what was the username and password for this particular database because it's already all implemented correctly. So we just dropped everything in that database that had the default demo stuff in it from a blank install of WordPress, and we're putting in all of our content from our old from the old server now to the new server, including the domain name. So we don't have to make any changes there either. So it's a really quick and easy way to get this done. So really this works the best when you are moving from one server to another and you're keeping your same domain name. If you need to change your domain name, then that is something different that you're gonna have to, that's not covered in this video. So you're gonna have to figure that out by Googling how to change a domain name in a WordPress database. And in the future, I do hope to have some sort of tutorial on how to do that. So let's go back and see how these files are uploading. They're almost all the way uploaded, but we can see that the plugins folder is already already uploaded. So I'm going to go back to my file manager, and I'm going to go back to WP-content, and it's going to show me that I've got plugins. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to extract it. So I'm going to extract it into the WP-content. And it's already extracted it all, so I'm going to click on close. So I've got a plugins folder here, and as you can see, all the rest of them, the themes and the uploads, are already done too. So we're going to do the exact same thing with the themes. We're going to extract it to WP-content. That one completed as well, so go ahead and click close. And then finally we're going to do the uploads, and we're going to extract just like we did before. Leave it the same folder and click extract files. Now I'm going to go back to my database and just make sure that everything imported successfully. That's great. And you can see you've got all your database tables back. And actually, if we go to the options table, you can see the site URL is there too. Now, most WordPress databases start with WP_. This particular database tables do not. So that's actually going to impact the configuration file for WordPress. But that's easily changed. So what we're going to go ahead and go back to, let's just see if this one is uploaded. It is. So we're going to go ahead and click close. Now what we can do is we can just go ahead and make sure that the content is as it should be. Looks good. Looks like everything imported just fine. Good. And then if we go back to the WP-content, what we can do is we can go ahead and delete these files. So let's go ahead and click delete. Skip the trash. Okay. So what we want to do now is go back to public_HTML, and we want to go to the WP-config file. Now, as I mentioned before, this was created automatically when we installed WordPress through Control Panel. So you didn't actually have to configure any settings, which is the greatest part about this. However, if for some reason your tables do not follow the default of having WP_, then you need to do this following step. If it does, you don't need to do this. Don't worry about this. So you're going to go to the WP-config, and you're going to go to edit. You're going to go ahead and click edit again. It's going to open up a file. And what we want is to scroll down to the very bottom where it says Table Prefix, and it says WP underscore. This one is, like I mentioned, ST underscore. So we're going to do ST, and some people do that because it's a little more secure not to have WP, because if someone does get into your database through some other means, they wouldn't know automatically the table prefix was ST underscore. So some people do that. You just can go in and then click Save Changes after you've done the table prefix, and that should be all you need to change. And then once you're done, you click Close. So we're done with this window, so I'm going to close that window as well. And then, as I mentioned before, there was the Others upload that had some log files in it that I want to make sure get in the right place. So I need to figure out where those go. So how to do that is to go back to the control panel on the old server, not the new server, the old server, to see where they're located. So let's do that now. Okay, I'm in the control panel for GoDaddy, which is the old server, and I'm going to go to the file manager, which looks just like the control panel we were just using, the file manager. We're going to go to public_HTML, and we're going to go to the domain name for this particular domain. Then we're going to go to WP-content, and you can see that this WF logs resides in this folder. So that's where we're going to put it on the the new server. Okay, now we're back at the file manager for the new server. And what I want to do is I want to go to WP-content, which is where I said it was on the old server. And I'm just going to go ahead and upload that zip file, which is this one right here, the Others. And then once that's done, I will go back here and refresh the WP contents folder and extract this one. Click Close. All right. Now I'm going to go ahead and delete that, skip the trash, confirm. Now, we should have all of the files on the new server as they were on the old server. And in the next step, we're going to test to make sure the website is showing up as it should on the website. In this final part, we are going to see and make sure that the website, all the files are updated, looks okay. The final thing we have to do before we do that is on the old server, we need to go down to Settings, and then we need to click on Permalinks. And we just need to see what the permalink structure is. So we can see it's sample post. The thing is that each WordPress install has what's called a .htaccess file. Now you can't view that file from in Control Panel File Manager, because it's a hidden file and it won't let you see that. And in that hidden file, there can be some important information that you need. But the most important information that you're going to need from there is what the permalink structure is. And currently it's sample post. So that's why we're looking at this right now. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're going to modify what's called our hosts file. And this is the file on your computer that allows you to tell your computer where to go when you type in a URL. Now, most people rely on external servers to do this for them. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to bypass all the external servers, and I'm going to say, no, I want to go directly to the new server, not the old server anymore, because I haven't changed any records, just to check to make sure everything looks okay before I make it all live and everyone has to see it. So InMotion Hosting actually has a really great article on modifying your host file. So this one is, I will link to it down below, but this one is for Windows. And if you're using a Mac, they say how to edit your host file on a Mac. And so that's what I have. I have a Mac. And what you need to do is in that particular file, you need to put in the IP address of the server, which you should know. You need to get that from your host. They will give it to you. That is the IP address you need to put in. And you'll need to then follow it up with your domain name and a space and then a www dot and then your domain name as well, so that both instances will be redirected to the IP address that you are setting. Now, I have a hashtag in front of it. If you get rid of the hashtag, that is what makes it live. The hashtag is a comment, so it's not live at this particular time. So I'm just going to go ahead and click save. And sometimes within Mac, they'll ask you to just use your admin username and password just to make sure you're legitimately changing this file. It didn't ask me that because I just recently changed this file. So now if we go back to here and type in the name of the website, we will be at the new website. We'll be pointed to the new server. Okay, so what we need to do then too is we need to click on, for example, blog. You can see, oh no, it's not finding this on the server. So what we need to do is we need to go under and log into the administration for the new server. It will be the same username and password that you were using on the old server because it's the same database. And then you're going to go back down to settings and the Permalink file. And you're going to make sure post name is selected. That's what we decided. And we're going to click Save Changes. All right, now the Permalink file has been updated. So let's go back to the website. And let's click on blog again. There, it works. So that was just a matter of the fact that we didn't have the permalink structure set up. It didn't have that htaccess file. So that was a really easy fix. So now we've looked at the website. It looks good. It looks like it should. There's no changes that need to be made. Now we're confident that we can actually make it live for everyone to see. First, I'm going to go ahead and change my host file back by commenting that out and saving it. See, it's asking me for my password. And now in the next section, I'm going to show you how to change the DNS A record. Sounds complicated, but it can be done. It can be done pretty easily. The only thing you need to know though for this next section is how to log in to your domain registrar. Now that might be the same as your host, your old host, or it might be the same as your new host, but you need to go ahead and figure that out, where your domain is registered, and log in to that particular domain registration control panel. This next step is pointing all the traffic from your old server to your new server. And it's done through what's called DNS. And we are just going to look at how to change the A record. Now there's a couple ways of doing this. You can change the A record or you can change the name servers. But the name servers means that you are transferring everything over to the new server. And in this case, I just want to keep the domain registration and everything over at GoDaddy, and we just wanted to move the actual website. So all I'm covering is how to change the A record. And you can certainly look up tutorials on how to change the name servers and make sure that all your DNS settings remain the same from server to server. And like I said, if you're moving to a new server, the people that own that server will be happy to help you with this step as well. But let's go down to domains, and actually GoDaddy, when I click on DNS Manager, will open up a new window that looks different than most control panels. Control panel usually has all the settings within control panel for DNS Manager, but GoDaddy does a little bit differently. So we're going to look at what GoDaddy looks like. And if we click on the growthbyreferrals.com URL, then what we're going to do is we're going to go to the DNS zone file. Once that loads, the thing that we want to change is the @ symbol, the A record, that points to a particular IP address. Now this IP address is GoDaddy's IP address. We're going to change it to the new server. So we click on Edit Record, and instead of this IP address, we paste in a new one, which if you do not know this IP address, you need to ask your new host to give you the IP address. You should have it in your records somewhere. Usually they give it to you upon registering a hosting environment with them. But if they haven't, you need to ask them for that. I'm going to click on Finish. So once I've done that, it says action needed or changes aren't final until you save them. So we're going to click on Save Changes. Now that is the only thing we need to do to redirect all traffic from the old server to the new server. Pretty easy. What we want to make sure though is we don't edit any of this other information, because sometimes that will be going to other servers and it could be pretty complicated. The biggest thing is we were just moving over the website. That's all we were doing. We weren't changing email. We weren't doing any of the other complicated things that can come along with that. All we were doing was changing the website. So I've changed the A record for the DNS, and it can take up to 24 to 48 hours for people to start hitting the new server when they type in the URL, the domain name, into their web address. And that's okay. The biggest thing to remember though is when you make a change like this is do not go on your website and start making any changes unless you've changed your host file and are hitting the new server. Because if you're still hitting the old server and you start making changes and then all of a sudden a new server starts to show, you're no longer going to have those changes you just made and you wasted a lot of time. So that's something to keep in mind. Can take 24 to 48 hours, which can be frustrating, but that's just the nature of it. Usually it takes only a few hours, especially if you're only changing the A record. Usually it takes a lot longer if you're changing the name servers completely and not just the A record. So that was all you needed to know to change over hosting from one server to another. And I hope you feel confident now in being able to do that for yourself. We just tackled your technology trouble together. Doesn't it feel good to be able to use technology the way it was intended? Thanks for watching this video, and please be sure to check out the additional resources listed below and to share this video with others who need technology help too. Please visit solopreneurmentor.com for more tips, tricks, and tutorials on how to use technology to make you more productive in building your online business from home.